On our website, you can get PDF learning materials for free. Please visit englist.me.
Journalist.
A person who collects and writes news stories or articles for newspapers, magazines, radio, television, or other online media.
Examples:
A China-based journalist. Journalist on a magazine. Foreign TV crews and journalists can go as they please in various locations during the Olympics.
Podcast.
A radio program made available in digital format that you can download from the internet and play on a computer or music player.
Examples:
Football podcast. Listen to a podcast. Our podcast was the most downloaded in the technology news genre this year.
Quintessence.
The perfect example of a quality or class.
Examples:
The quintessence of virtue. Quintessence of life. The quintessence of the author's writing is the depth of emotion conveyed.
Hypnotic.
Inducing sleep, causing sleepiness, particularly as a result of a repetitive noise or motion.
Examples:
Mild hypnotic. Hypnotic effect. His voice had a hypnotic quality for me.
Spellbound.
Completely captivated or enchanted by something or someone, held under a powerful or magical spell.
Examples:
Spellbound audience. Spellbound by her beauty. I was absolutely spellbound by the beauty of the sunset.
Spectacle.
Something or someone seen, especially a notable or unusual sight, an optical device consisting of a frame that houses a pair of lenses for correcting defective vision.
Examples:
Pretty spectacle. Spectacle lens. She could not help watching the sad spectacle.
Absolutely.
Without restriction or limitation, completely or utterly.
Examples:
Absolutely against. Absolutely obsessed with the girl. I am absolutely opposed to his idea because of morality.
Silent.
Without any or little sound.
Examples:
Silent reading. Give silent consent. The politician remained silent despite intense media scrutiny.
Mathematics.
The science dealing with the logic of quantities, shapes, spaces, and arrangement.
Examples:
A good grounding in mathematics. Mathematics competition. He has a flair for mathematics.
Riverbank.
The land along the edge of a river, often used for recreation or agricultural purposes.
Examples:
Riverbank erosion. Walk along the riverbank. We enjoyed a picnic on the riverbank and watched the boats go by.
Jungle.
An area of tropical forest wherein which trees and plants grow very thickly.
Examples:
Middle of the jungle. Jungle exploration. This village is still in a dense jungle.
Canoe.
A narrow, light boat with pointy ends and no keel that is propelled by a paddle.
Examples:
Canoe race. Make a canoe trip. After the accident, the police found an empty canoe.
Occasional.
Happening or appearing at irregular intervals, not constant or regular.
Examples:
Occasional visitor. Occasional assistance. She only visited her grandparents on occasional weekends.
Exotic.
Originating from or characteristic of a foreign country or culture, strikingly unusual, uncommon, or intriguing.
Examples:
Exotic species. Exotic vacation. I love trying exotic foods from different cultures.
Imaginary.
Existing only in someone's mind.
Examples:
Imaginary number. Imaginary pregnancy. Little children tend to have imaginary friends.
Firefly.
A flying nocturnal insect common in warm regions with a tail that shines in the dark.
Examples:
The glow of a firefly. Sparkle like firefly. In that country, there is a culture of eating live firefly squid.
Random.
Made, done, or happening without method, conscious decision, or any regular pattern.
Examples:
A random choice. Bombs fell at random. To find drunk drivers, police conduct random tests.
Blink.
To shut and open the eyes quickly, to gleam or glow in a regular or intermittent way.
Examples:
Blink his eyes. Blink in astonishment. He blinked in the dazzling sunlight.
Whoop.
To shout or cry out loudly, often in celebration or excitement, to make an exuberant noise.
Examples:
Whoop with joy. Whoop it up at a party. The winning team began to whoop and holler with excitement.
Synchronize.
To happen or cause to happen at the same time or rate.
Examples:
Synchronize movements. Synchronize our watches. The ball speed will increase when the lower body movements are perfectly synchronized.
Neuroscience.
The scientific study of the function, structure, and disorder of the brain and the nervous system.
Examples:
the branch of neuroscience. A theoretical concept in neuroscience. Our university is famous for its professors who are well-versed in behavioral neuroscience.
Brain.
The organ inside the head that is responsible for one's movement, thought, memory, and feeling.
Examples:
basic brain function. Permanent brain damage. X-rays revealed a small tumor in his brain.
Resolve.
To find a suitable answer to the problems or difficulty.
Examples:
resolve a dispute. Resolve the computer error. This company resolves its battery problem completely.
Vary.
To become different in terms of size, shape, etc.
Examples:
vary according to the age. Vary directly with the price. Maximum heart rates vary a lot for each individual.
Amazing.
Extremely surprising, especially in a way that you like or admire.
Examples:
amazing advances. The most amazing feeling. The golfer recorded an amazing distance.
Repetition.
The act of doing or saying something many times.
Examples:
repetition of the word. Habitual repetition. Repetition is the mother of all learning.
Neuron.
A cell that is specialized to carry information within the brain and between the brain and other parts of the body.
Examples:
excite the neurons. Neuron cell body. Our body transfers information along each neuron using an electrical impulse.
Crackle.
To make a succession of slight popping sounds, often due to the heating or drying of some materials, such as firewood, paper, plastic, or food, to snap, crack, or crunch. Noun, a series of sharp, popping sounds that are caused by the rapid expansion and contraction of a material, such as wood or paper, due to changes in temperature or humidity.
Examples:
crackle on the gravel road. The crackle of the thunder. The firewood crackled and popped into the fireplace, sending sparks up the chimney.
Chop.
To cut something into pieces with a sharp tool, such as a knife.
Examples:
chop wood. Chop a meat with a knife. The cook chopped the vegetables for the soup.
Emigrate.
To leave one's country or region to settle in another.
Examples:
emigrate to a new country. Emigrate for better opportunities. Many people emigrated from Ireland to America during the Great Famine.
Identity.
The fact of being who or what somebody or something is, the features, emotions, or ideas that distinguish persons from one another.
Examples:
mistaken identity, identity as an individual. The terrorist's identity remains unknown.
Inherit.
To receive money, property, or a title from someone after they have died.
Examples:
inherit estate, inherit ancestral property. After his death, his sons inherited his business.
Movement.
A group of people working together to achieve a shared goal, especially a political, social, or artistic one, the process of moving or being moved, physically or figuratively.
Examples:
a circular movement, movement of troops. The movement of the dancers on stage was graceful and elegant.
Bunch.
A grouping of several similar things which are growing or fastened together.
Examples:
a bunch of trees, a bunch of schoolgirls. One bad apple spoils the whole bunch.
Chemical.
Relating to or connected with chemistry.
Examples:
toxic chemicals, a chemical compound. The firm has grown into a large chemical manufacturing.
Fellow.
Someone who has the same job or interests as you, or is in the same class, profession, or situation as you.
Examples:
junior fellow, nice fellow. He is the kind of fellow who only works for his success.
Villager.
A person who lives in a village or small rural community. A person who is part of a close-knit and traditional community.
Examples:
villager community, local villager. The rural villagers were saddened by the destruction of their homes in the natural disaster.
Horrible.
Extremely unpleasant or bad, causing fear or disgust.
Examples:
horrible accident, horrible smell. The experience was horrible and left a lasting impression.
Suffer.
To experience pain, distress, or hardship, to undergo or endure something painful or unpleasant.
Examples:
suffer a setback, suffer bad grades. The older man suffers from arthritis and finds it difficult to move around.
Heal.
To make a wound or injury to become well again.
Examples:
heal a broken bone, heal the hurt mind. It will take time for her mental scars to heal.
Rely.
To require a certain thing or the assistance and support of someone or something in order to continue, run properly, or succeed.
Examples:
Rely on convenience stores. Rely entirely on him. Babies heavily rely on others for food.
Committed.
Willing to put in a lot of effort, time, and energy into something, firmly believing in something.
Examples:
In a committed relationship. Strong and committed sales staff. Our company is strongly committed to meeting customers' needs.
Collide.
To hit something violently when moving.
Examples:
Collide head-on. Collide in midair. The interests of the two countries collide.
Consent.
Permission or agreement to do something, especially given by somebody in authority.
Examples:
Consent for surgery. Give silent consent. She gave her consent to the company's proposal.
Perspective.
A certain attitude towards something, a particular style of thinking about something.
Examples:
A perspective view. Perspective of the battle. His father's death changed his whole perspective on life.
Survivor.
A person who remains alive after an event in which others have died.
Examples:
Ovarian cancer survivor. A single survivor. The shipwreck survivor was rescued after floating in the ocean for 3 days.
Perpetrator.
A person who carries out a harmful or illegal act, particularly one that involves violence or deception.
Examples:
Perpetrator identity. Culprit perpetrator. The police have not yet caught the perpetrator of the crime.
Narrative.
A story or a description of a series of events or process of telling a story.
Examples:
Narrative poetry. Personal narrative. The narrative handles multiple plot lines and has unpredictable ends.
Clash.
A fight or argument between two groups of people, a loud noise caused by striking against something.
Examples:
A clash of viewpoints. A clash between the two task forces. Her dress was a disturbing clash of colors.
Eliminate.
To remove or get rid of someone or something.
Examples:
Eliminate contestants. Eliminate sexual barriers. We can eliminate this possibility from those consumptions.
Jury.
A group of people called upon to render a verdict or judgment in a legal trial. A group of people chosen for a special purpose or task.
Examples:
Jury verdict. Jury duty. The judge instructed the jury on the law and the evidence presented in the trial.
Detain.
To keep someone in official custody, to prevent them from leaving.
Examples:
Detain a terrorist. Detain for investigation. The police detained the suspect for questioning.
Dispute.
A disagreement, argument, or controversy between two people, groups, or countries, especially a formal one.
Examples:
A legal dispute over the title. Dispute settlement. The dispute over the ownership of the land has been ongoing for years.
Struggle.
To make a great effort to do something when it is difficult, or there are a lot of problems, to use force or violence to break away from restraint or constriction.
Examples:
Struggle against discrimination. Struggle to get the job. He could not struggle against temptation.
Sigh.
To emit a deep, audible breath or sound, often expressing feelings of tiredness, frustration, or relief. To express longing, wish, or regret. Noun, the act of exhaling audibly in a long, deep, and often melancholy way.
Examples:
Sigh deeply. Let out a sigh. He sighed in relief when he finally found his lost keys.
Capture.
To catch a person or an animal and confine them in an area which they cannot escape.
Examples:
Capture a glimpse. Capture customers' hearts. I was able to capture the moment on film.
Process.
A series of actions or operations performed to achieve a particular outcome or goal. A systematic procedure or approach used to accomplish a specific task or objective. A method of treating milk to make it suitable for consumption or use in other dairy products.
Examples:
Process improvement. Decision-making process. The process for applying for a visa can be lengthy and complicated.
Noun.
A word that generally functions as the name of a specific object or set of objects.
Examples:
Noun phrase. Proper noun. In some foreign languages, the gender of nouns exists.
Verb.
A word or phrase that describes an action, state, or experience.
Examples:
Complex verb. An auxiliary verb. Use a singular verb if the subject is singular.
Cruise.
A voyage on a large ship for pleasure, driving, or traveling at a leisurely pace.
Examples:
The cruise line. Adaptive cruise control. The family took a cruise to the Caribbean for their vacation.
Viewpoint.
A way of thinking about a specific subject, a place from which something can be viewed, especially in an area of natural beauty.
Examples:
a scientific viewpoint. Aesthetic viewpoint. We looked at this issue from a different viewpoint.
Conflict.
A strong disagreement, argument, or a violent clash between two opposing groups or individuals.
Examples:
The conflict between good and evil. The long-standing conflict. He and I often had conflicts, not only in personality, but also in ideology.
Stick.
To put something, usually a sharp object, into something, noun, a thin piece of wood or other material.
Examples:
Stick a key in a lock. Fire stick. You stick a bill in the change machine, and the coins pop out.
Saint.
A person who is recognized as having an exceptional degree of holiness, virtue, or devotion.
Examples:
Saint statue. The departed saint. The faithful follower venerated the saint's relic.
Glimmer.
A flash of light, especially unsteady or reflected light, a slight sign of something.
Examples:
Without a glimmer of truth. Give a glimmer of light. There is, however, a glimmer of hope.
Epiphany.
A moment of sudden and great realization or revelation, a Christian festival, held on January 6th, celebrating the visit of the three wise men to the infant Jesus.
Examples:
Epiphany about life. Feast of Epiphany. She had an epiphany while meditating and realized the answer to her problem.
Departure.
The act of leaving, especially to start a journey.
Examples:
Departure from tradition. Departure from the company. The departure time for the flight is 6 a.m.
Intuition.
The ability to understand or know something without reasoning or evidence, a feeling that guides a person to do or believe something without fully understanding why.
Examples:
Creative intuition. Intuition research. Some studies suggest that people's intuitions can be influenced by their experiences and biases.
Concert.
A musical performance given in public by one or more players or singers.
Examples:
Have a concert again. A benefit concert. This artist always packs the concert halls.
Drag.
To pull or haul with force.
Examples:
Drag a chair over. Drag a team down. He dragged the heavy suitcase behind him as he walked.
Democracy.
A form of government in which the people have the authority to deliberate and decide legislation, or to choose governing officials to do so.
Examples:
Democracy advocate. Principles of democracy. Democracy often entails inclusive capitalism as well.
Smashing.
Very successful or impressive, causing something to be broken or destroyed.
Examples:
A smashing blow. Give smashing results. The band's new album was a smashing success, reaching the top of the charts.
Carve.
To create something by cutting wood or stone, to turn sharply.
Examples:
Carve a statue. Carve my name on the plate. This statue is carved from a single tree trunk.
Separate.
To force, take, or pull apart, mark as different.
Examples:
Separate video into chapter. Separate cream from milk. We need to separate the aspect of his personality from the part of his competence when making an investment decision.
Continent.
One of the Earth's large landmasses. Adjective, abstaining from your feelings, especially your desire to have sex.
Examples:
The inland of a continent. Continent urinary diversion. Flight across the continent was a daring adventure in its day.
Undeniable.
Not possible to deny, true or certain.
Examples:
An undeniable fact. An undeniable masterpiece. Her influence on teenagers is undeniable.
Conceit.
An excessively high opinion of oneself, self-importance.
Examples:
Full of conceit. Puffed up with conceit. His vain conceit made it difficult for him to work well with others.
Discography.
A complete list or catalog of a musician's or musical group's recordings, typically arranged chronologically.
Examples:
Complete discography. Discography album. The band's discography spans over 4 decades of hits.
Singe.
To burn something slightly or superficially, usually by mistake.
Examples:
Singe off the hair over the flames. Singe the edges of a fabric. I didn't realize the iron was still hot and singed my dress.
Homesick.
Feeling sad or nostalgic for one's home, family, or familiar surroundings, especially when away from them for a significant length of time.
Examples:
Suffer from homesick. Homesick for home. The military personnel stationed overseas often feel homesick for their loved ones.
Nostalgia.
A sentimental longing or wistful affection for a period in the past.
Examples:
A warm nostalgia. Nostalgia trip. The ice cream truck sound brought back nostalgia from my childhood.
Scrawny.
Excessively thin or skinny, often in an unattractive or unhealthy way.
Examples:
Scrawny cat. Scrawny appearance. He was always insecure about his scrawny physique.
Invention.
The creation of a new device or process resulting from study and experimentation, the act of inventing.
Examples:
The invention of new techniques. Common invention. Necessity is the mother of invention.
Suicide.
The act of killing yourself intentionally.
Examples:
Commit suicide. Suicide attack. In an economically prosperous country, most male suicide is due to child support problems.
Bomb.
A weapon that explodes and is used to kill or injure people or to cause damage to something.
Examples:
Atomic bombs. Disarm the bomb. The use of cluster bombs is strictly prohibited by international law.
Replica.
An exact copy of something such as a work of art.
Examples:
Miniature replica. Exact replica. An artist sculpted a full-size replica of her body.
Emotional.
Relating to people's feelings.
Examples:
Emotional health. Emotional distress. Human emotional responses vary widely depending on the society to which they belong.
Relation.
The way two persons or groups of people feel and act toward one another.
Examples:
Relation between cause and effect. Relation of inclusion. The industrial relations laws were passed with little to no alteration.
Panic.
A sudden strong feeling of fear that cannot be controlled and prevents reasonable thought and action.
Examples:
A panic reaction. Panic buying. The participation of oil-producing countries in the war caused panic in the financial markets.
Twist.
To bend or turn something into a certain shape.
Examples:
Twist around to the left. Twist a wet towel. He twisted pieces of rope out of straw.
Nephew.
A son of your brother or sister.
Examples:
3-year-old nephew. Nieces and nephews. My nephew is 8 months old and still being breastfed.
Bodyguard.
A person or group of people employed to protect someone, typically a public figure or a person of importance, from harm or attack. VIP bodyguard. Elite bodyguard unit. The celebrity hired a personal bodyguard to protect them from the paparazzi.
Whim.
A sudden idea or desire, especially one that cannot be reasonably explained.
Examples:
At the whim of circumstance. Whim of youth. He quit his job on a whim and moved to a new city.
Dirt.
Soil, dust, or any substance that makes a surface not clean, the part of the Earth's surface consisting of humus and disintegrated rock.
Examples:
Dirt road. Dirt track. The garden was filled with dirt and needed to be tilled before planting.
Giant.
Extremely big, much bigger or more important than similar items usually are.
Examples:
Giant trees. Giant tech company. The giant jets that gradually dominate the world's airlines.
Law.
Traditional knowledge, stories, or beliefs often passed down through oral tradition, a body of knowledge or tradition that is often considered to be mythological or legendary in nature.
Examples:
Military lore. Mythological lore. The village's lore passed down stories of their ancestors and their traditions.
Hallowed.
Considered holy or sacred, deserving of reverence or respect.
Examples:
Hallowed tradition. Hallowed memory. The church was considered a hallowed ground for the community, where their ancestors had worshipped for generations.
Pigeon.
A stout-bodied bird with a small head, short legs, and a short, cooing call, typically found in cities and domesticated for food.
Examples:
A racing pigeon. Pigeon on the roof. The pigeon perched on the windowsill, pecking at the bread crumbs left for it.
Butterfly.
A diurnal insect typically has a slender body with knobbed antennae and broad, colorful wings.
Examples:
Butterfly effect. The life cycle of a butterfly. He enjoys collecting butterfly specimens.
Loop.
A shape like a curve or a circle made by something long and thin, such as a piece of string, that bends round and crosses itself.
Examples:
Exit from a loop. Positive feedback loop. Many people in this city use the loop railway for transportation.
Conversation.
An informal talk between two or more people to exchange their views, ideas, information, etc.
Examples:
Conversation in English. A friendly conversation. Your conversation reflects your thoughts.
Migration.
The movement of animals to a new location, frequently as the seasons change.
Examples:
The migration of birds. Overseas migration. There was a migration of impoverished farmers into the towns.
Classic.
Judged or deserving to be regarded as one of the best or most important of its kind over a period of time, of a well-known type.
Examples:
A classic experiment. Chinese classic literature. He displayed the classic symptoms of depression.
Porch.
A covered entrance to a building, typically one leading to the front door and extending outwards.
Examples:
Porch light. A glass porch. The old rocking chair on the porch creaked as he sat down to read his book.
Straight.
Extending or moving in one direction without bending or curving, having no deviations.
Examples:
A straight line. Straight for 2 months. He was sick for 5 straight days.
Lean.
Having a noticeably small amount of body fat. Verb, to bend or move from a straight to a sloping posture.
Examples:
A lean horse. Lean athletic figure. Lean operational improvements often lead to better environmental performance.
Vivid.
Producing very clear, powerful, and detailed images in the mind.
Examples:
Vivid colors. Still vivid in my memory. She made a vivid impression.
Resin.
A sticky, viscous substance typically obtained from trees and plants, particularly conifers and evergreens, a material used in the manufacture of adhesives, plastics, and other products, particularly those that require stiffness or abrasion resistance.
Examples:
Tree resin. Synthetic resin. The guitar was coated with a resin layer to protect the wood and enhance the tone.
Trap.
A piece of equipment or hole for catching animals or people. Verb, to catch animals or people and prevent them from escaping.
Examples:
Set a trap. Trap an animal. The enemy fell right into the trap.
Immigrant.
A person who has come to a country where they were not born to live there permanently.
Examples:
Immigrant communities. An immigrant from the country. Police received a report of illegal immigrants in the area.
Musicology.
The study of music as a scholarly discipline typically focuses on issues related to the history, theory, and cultural context of music.
Examples:
Musicology professor. Musicology research. The musicology conference held last year brought together scholars from all around the world.
Genre.
A particular type or style of literature, art, music, or film that involves a particular set of characteristics.
Examples.
Genre of music. A literary genre. He is known for creating genre-busting paintings.
Instrument.
An object used to make musical sounds, such as a piano, guitar, or drum, a tool or device used for a specific activity, particularly in specialist or scientific work.
Examples.
Musical instruments. Surgical instruments. This electronic instrument is required to undergo periodic inspections to ensure precision.
Construct.
To build or create something, to assemble or combine different parts to form something whole.
Examples.
Construct a 3D image. Construct a dam. He constructs hypotheses that no mathematician has ever imagined before.
Partnership.
The state of a cooperative relationship between people or groups, especially in business.
Examples.
Partnership across the Atlantic. Establish a partnership. The military partnership between the two countries created tension in the international community.
Jealousy.
A feeling of resentment or bitterness towards someone because they have something that you desire.
Examples.
Jealousy feeling towards another person. Burn with jealousy. His jealousy of his brother's success caused a rift in their relationship.
Sue.
To claim a person or organization, especially by filing a legal claim for money or redress.
Examples.
Sue a company for damages. Sue my boss for harassment. He planned to sue the organization for negligence.
Patriarchal.
Relating to or characteristic of a society or system in which men hold the dominant roles and positions of power, male-dominated.
Examples.
Patriarchal society. Patriarchal government. The patriarchal system that many societies have is outdated and unfair to women.
Complicated.
Involving a lot of different things or parts in a way that is difficult to understand or analyze.
Examples.
A complicated process. Become increasingly complicated. He did complicated pen and ink drawings in just a few days.
Entertainer.
A performer who provides amusement or enjoyment to an audience, often through acting, music, dancing, or comedy.
Examples.
Entertainer of the Year. Comedy entertainer. The dancer is a talented entertainer who captivates her audience with graceful movements.
Summarize.
To give a brief statement of the most important facts or ideas about something.
Examples:
Summarizes the main ideas. Summarize text. Each chapter summarizes the most critical issues.
Zoom.
To move along very quickly, noun, the act of rising upward into the air.
Examples:
Zoom in on a photo. Zoom lens. He zoomed back in time to the soccer game.
Clue.
An object, a piece of evidence, or some information that helps someone to find the answer to a problem, question, or mystery.
Examples:
A clue about the crime. A clue to the diagnosis. The police couldn't find a clue to her whereabouts.
Fetish.
An intense or irrational devotion or interest in something, often sexual one. An object or item that is believed to have magical or spiritual powers or significance.
Examples:
Fetish object. Sexual fetish. She had a fetish for cleanliness and would spend hours cleaning her house.
Increasingly.
More and more.
Examples:
Increasingly become common. Face increasingly complicated challenges. Our company found it increasingly difficult to keep up with the competition.
Confuse.
To mistake one thing for another, to make somebody hard to understand.
Examples:
Confuse the listener. Confuse fantasy with reality. Her remarks confused the debate.
Interrogate.
To examine someone with questions over a lengthy period of time, especially in an aggressive manner.
Examples:
Interrogate an enemy soldier. Interrogated by police. The lawyer spent a considerable time to adequately interrogate the witness.
Rev.
A measure of the rate at which an engine or motor rotates, often expressed in revolutions per minute, RPM, verb, to increase the number of rotations per minute.
Examples:
Low rev engine. Rev up the crowd. He stepped on the gas pedal, and the engine released a loud rev.
Revelation.
A fact that has been disclosed to others, especially a surprising one, the act of revealing or telling the fact or truth to others, communication of knowledge to humans by a divine or supernatural agency.
Examples:
A divine revelation. The revelation of a secret. The shocking revelation embarrassed the administration.
Psychotherapy.
The treatment of mental or emotional problems by talking with a therapist.
Examples:
Field of psychotherapy. Psychotherapy for depression. He took psychotherapy to help him deal with his accident trauma.
Essentially.
Relating to the essential features or concepts of anything.
Examples:
Essentially correct. Become essentially same. Essentially, a society is an organism.
Typical.
Having the usual characteristics or traits of a specific group of things.
Examples:
Typical leader. Fairly typical symptoms. This artwork is typical of her work.
Autonomous.
Capable of governing or controlling its affairs.
Examples:
Development of autonomous vehicles. An autonomous judiciary. 5 of the 6 provinces will become autonomous regions under the new federal system of government.
Commit.
To do something illegal or wrong.
Examples:
Commit suicide. Commit mistakes. The military has committed an abuse of human rights.
Mutual.
Common to or shared by 2 or more parties.
Examples:
Share of a mutual fund. Mutual efforts. They cooperated for their mutual benefit.
Recognition.
The action or process of recognizing or being recognized, especially by remembering, an agreement that something is true or legal.
Examples:
Recognition award. Joint recognition. He was given recognition for his outstanding work in the field of medicine.
Entity.
Something that exists independently and has its own identity.
Examples:
Legal entity. Government entity. A company is a distinct legal entity. Spiritual. Relating to or affecting the human spirit or soul as opposed to material or physical things.
Examples:
Constant spiritual striving. Spiritual leader. The meditation class was focused on finding inner peace and cultivating a more spiritual connection with the universe.
Architecture.
The art and science of designing and constructing buildings.
Examples:
Architecture design. Classic architecture. The city is known for its impressive architecture and beautiful old buildings. Storytelling. The act or art of narrating or writing stories.
Examples:
Storytelling performance. Courtroom storytelling. She was skilled in storytelling techniques, such as using different voices for other characters.